P-A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Cerebral Palsy Month. And of course, that leads us into a discussion of the adventures of Ben and Travis and the Joyrider as well, which is a proud sponsor of this podcast, mainly because Ben and I are mainly involved in that. But we'll have a little conversation about that right after these important messages. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast is presented by Faulkner University. Faulkner University is a private Christian liberal arts university based in Montgomery, Alabama, with a mission to provide an education anchored by not only intellect, but also character and service. The Faulkner experience aims to educate the whole person. Every individual matters every day. We all want to become better versions of ourselves. No one wants to remain trapped where they are because of missed opportunities and unrealized dreams. At Faulkner University, we believe your dreams don't have an expiration date. We understand that you're looking for more than a degree. You want to find your niche and thrive in your career. Whether you're a high school senior just beginning your trek or an adult student looking for a better path, Faulkner is here to help guide your journey. Go to faulkner.edu to apply or get more info. That's faulkner.edu. I'm Travis Creasy, campus minister, pulpit minister at Riverside Church of Christ, Riverside Christian Academy. That is all-pro counselor with 3-chord counseling in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Also the pulpit minister at Highland Park Church of Christ. Ben Hayes, how's it going, bro?
Fantastic. Been a good week. Just got through talking a little bit about CYC, and that was a great weekend. And we've had a really busy week here since CYC. We had 2 visits to Birmingham for the Final Four for Mars Hill. Boys fell just short of championship victory, but man, it was just an awesome season. Really great to watch them. Spent the weekend watching soccer afterwards, and went and saw the Predators with you guys on Tuesday. So keeping the roads hot, man, as usual.
Will, what's up?
Man, nothing much. Getting into Walk for Water season. So we've got a walk coming up at Mars Hill on Tuesday. So I guess when you hear this one, it will have already been passed. And then got 2 or 3 more coming in the next 2 months. So I'm going to be keeping the airways busy, yes, on some weekends. So getting into that, and got a new one on the way, getting into that 3rd trimester. So we got to record as many podcast episodes as possible.
Hammer them out. Yeah. We're always happy that Will's with us. And I'm currently being rubbed against by my cat, who somehow got down here in the basement with me. So if you see me lean over or you hear his motor running, it's because he's happy for some reason, at least for right now, until he wants food. But nonetheless, it is good to see you guys. It is Cerebral Palsy Month, which is near and dear to our hearts. My older brother, Bradley Dupree, a.k.a. the Joyrider, who will be celebrating a birthday. I think the week that this comes out, we will have already celebrated his 50th birthday, on Saturday, March the 8th. And so a big week. We'll have done Read Across America. Once this time's done, we'll have been at Riverside with the Worry Coaster. We'll be at Mars Hill with the Worry Coaster, and Muscle Shoals Public Library with the Worry Coaster, and then celebrate a birthday. So, yeah, we know all about that busy time. And, of course, Ben and I will be hitting up South Carolina at some point and all over the place. But we did want to take a moment and kind of talk about, a little bit about the Joyrider, since it is about my older brother and cerebral palsy and kind of overcoming obstacles and having joy despite those. So, whether or not you have cerebral palsy or not, or you know someone that has special needs, or whatever phrase they're using these days to describe those very special, important people in our lives. Bradley is not the only person in our life, but he is an important person to us that shows us how to overcome obstacles. And it was a really neat thing at CYC. I had a conversation with a couple, and I think they actually ended up pre-ordering the book, or maybe they got a copy of the Worry Coaster. But the wife has cerebral palsy to a lesser degree than my older brother. And we were able to have a conversation about that and how important she felt like that book was, and just the things that they are able to do and how they do them well. And so that certainly has informed a lot of my life.
Yeah, and it seems to be so similar, not necessarily in the way that it your body responds to it. Obviously, it's very different from autism, but it's similar in that there's a spectrum. We've known of people. We had a lady that went to church with us that was brilliant in the Bible. I mean, she knew the Bible front and back, but her body just didn't cooperate with her. And she's in the nursing home today, and she is still a wonderful, wonderful lady. But she can walk, but she can't walk well. I'm not sure now how much she's getting around. But then, of course, Bradley has been in a wheelchair all of his life, never spoken, that sort of thing. So there's such a wide range of how it affects people, and you probably know much more about that than I do, Travis.
I don't know a whole lot. I mean, like I said, I think sometimes the spectrum aspect of it can be part of the difficulties as far as understanding. And I think that's why you have months like this where people can be informed and learn things about those situations. And, I put on our prayer list this week to be thankful, to really take the time and be thankful for the 50 years that Bradley's been on the earth. Of course, none of us are promised any more time than we've already had. But and I don't think there was any specific statement that he might not live that long by any means. But man, to really just celebrate the fact that he is alive and well and doing good and got people at the nursing home wrapped around his fingers. It's almost like he runs the place. Yes. I'm sure that he received plenty of grief about the Tennessee win on Saturday. Because somebody was telling me the other day that they love to go visit him and see him going down the hallway because people yell "Go Vols" at him or "War Eagle," and of course he has a physical reaction to that and a symbol for that of making himself sick over it. But he doesn't believe Alabama ever loses; they just run out of time.
That's right.
Of course, Bradley's at the nursing home that my grandmother was at. And so the thing that impacted me the most about every time I would go see Granny is I would have to walk right past Bradley's room to get to her room. And you could poke your head in there, and he was always going to give you a smile. There was always going to be a laughter, some type of physical expression that you just felt like, hey, he appreciates you stopping in. And so I've always appreciated that about him, because it wasn't always easy going, to see Granny, because it was just a gradual decline from the moment that she got there. But it was almost like his circumstances didn't dictate his mood. And I'm sure that he has bad days and frustrating days and times where it's not all just good, because of what's happening. But in those moments, he always made us feel as though we were important, even without words or anything like that. And so it was always impressive to go, your situation. If I was in your situation, I don't know that I would have, the mindset and personality that you do. And of course, Lindsay being a special ed teacher, it's always, it's stressful to go in her room, to see 15 or 16 students that have differing disabilities, from physical to intellectual, whatever it may be, but you always walk out of there feeling loved. And I've always appreciated that, because there's a lot of classrooms that I walk into every day where there's not a single student that may have a intellectual disability or a physical disability, and I walk out going, I am miserable, and so it's always impressed me with how well sometimes people like Bradley can uplift you, even when their situation is what we would call, on some level, far worse than ours.
And those kids, they will never forget Lindsay Mahan, right? Like,
right.
I think of her and Janice Curtis. I don't know that there's a single special needs kid in the Florence side of the river that doesn't know Janice Curtis. Every person. Mm-hmm. My stepmom has a son, And we went and visited them one time, and he knows Janice, right? And Janice knows him. And same thing with Bradley. And, they just don't forget. I had somebody the other day, like, we invited them to the birthday celebration. It's a come and go kind of thing at Jacksonburg. And, they were like, well, he probably doesn't remember me. And my brother Kevin and I were both like, you'd be surprised. He does not forget people. No. And he doesn't forget your allegiance to whatever team that you are either. But I mean, there's people that passed away years ago that I never met that he knows, and he points up like heaven, like that's where that person is. And it's kind of wild that I know growing up thinking of Daredevil. Daredevil is blind, can't see, and his abilities are enhanced. His other abilities are enhanced, and man, that's so true with these kids. Like there's something, if not a multitude of things that they just excel at. And certainly finding the brighter side of life is a tremendous superpower.
I've not been to the Special Olympics in a long time. I know that there's several, groups every year. There's groups that go there. And I know one of the young ladies that goes to church with us or is affiliated there with the church has Down syndrome. And she's always been a huge part of that. But the one thing that I've been a part of recently was last year going and watching Bradley bowl. And he's in a bowling league. It's, I think, kind of Special Olympics connected. At least they go sometimes. And so this time they did it up here in Florence so that they could be a part of it instead of having to go to Troy or somewhere like that where I think it usually is. And it was so much fun, not just to watch Bradley, but to see the other guys that were there competing.
Serious business too. Serious business. And,
they were pretty intense about it, and it was pretty great to just watch. There were reactions and to celebrate with them, and just to see their excitement about it was contagious too.
Travis, I know that the Joyrider is going to be based off of Bradley's situation and growing up with him. I know, Ben, you were very much probably at the house, or they were at y'all's house quite a bit. So I'm curious, what are some lessons, and don't give us the whole Joyrider, leave a little suspense there, but what are some of the lessons, maybe positive, that you learn from Bradley or learn from having a brother with some special needs that are there physically, especially?
Well, I'll say the first one, and I've shared the story about him trying to run me over with his wheelchair. I shared that with Marcel a few weeks ago. But, these folks have their emotions. They have things that they're, like you mentioned, that they struggle with just like us. And they just have extra obstacles to overcome. And to see them do that it's worth that to them, that life is worth the living. And, not only are they doing it, they're doing it with an attitude of joy is just, a biblical response. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with myself, with others, that, there's this thing that's just difficult. And it was, my leukemia, right? Bradley, if he's listening, he's going to get a kick out of this, but he helped me get through that, right? Like I saw him suffer well. And in a way, and as much as he probably was like, leukemia, what's that? Give me a break. Look at what I go through every day. Obviously, he can't say that, but he might give me that look every once in a while, like, well, you think you've been through something. What about me? But that's certainly what I've gained big time from him is that, they have the same emotions, same struggles, just extra obstacles. And for the most part, they're able to overcome them, or there's, as the old phrase goes, more than one way to skin a cat, for sure.
Ben, what about you?
Well, for me, it was just always the idea of count it all joy comes to mind, which is kind of where the Joyrider comes in, because I know Bradley had broken bones, growing up. He had surgeries, countless surgeries. And it was just like y'all said, you've already mentioned, there's always a smile on his face. And he could find a reason to laugh, albeit sometimes at the expense of other people. But he would find a good reason to laugh at some things, that it was just always kind of impressive. And there's been a lot of times in my life that I'm like, look, if Bradley can laugh and Bradley can find some joy and Bradley can do some things. And so my kind of goal in writing Joy Rider was, as I mentioned, he's never spoken. And so sort of like how we did in this last book, you go into this kind of fantasy world of this roller coaster. And Travis and I had imaginations, as all kids do. And so instead of it being a roller coaster this time, it's going to be monster trucks. And his wheelchair and our little 3-wheelers that we're riding are going to turn into, monster trucks. And it's just going to be about how you go through obstacle courses, things that you go through and how you come out on the other side with joy, and how it's the journey and it's the mountain and it's all the stuff that you go through that sometimes helps you to have the joy. And so I thought there's no better person to teach the lesson. So in the fantasy world, he's going to be speaking. So we're giving Bradley a voice to tell us how that has helped him. Some of that is just by how we've watched and how we've seen him live his life. And I think if he could say some things to us, that's what he would say.
I think it's, we all have people, and we talked about CYC, there's great speakers, there's people who do a lot of things, and I certainly respect and have been encouraged by all those people. And I find it really cool, Ben, that I think you were talking about Miss Patricia Wright earlier, and we've known other people, but you got a lady like her who knows her Bible. I'd be willing to guess better than me, for sure. I've sat in Bible class, and as much as it's a struggle for her to communicate, she does it. And man, she talks about the Bible, and she's got it, knows it backwards and forwards. And it's just people like that who, don't get a lot of the spotlight, but it's not about getting the spotlight to them. As much as Bradley's going to love the birthday party, I know Lindsay's working on a balloon thing for that, and we're super excited about that. And and he loves the spotlight just as much as anybody. That's not what dictates his happiness and his joy. And the same thing for Miss Patricia. And a lot of these people that we know, it's not about the spotlight. They like it when they get it, just like the rest of us do, but it's not what it's really all about. And, we can always use more role models in our life like that. But it's a great question, Will. I appreciate you asking that.
Well, and like you said, I get to see a lot of the behind the scenes, and then, when everything's finished and all that. But I think I speak for all of us when I say, if y'all could hurry up and finish it, we would greatly appreciate it, because I think we're all, after hearing so much, and I know on the podcast we've talked about Bradley, only a few people have gotten the opportunity to be around Bradley. I think over the overall Ben and Travis audience, probably not very many at all. And so if y'all could just speed it along, we would greatly appreciate it.
My kids are definitely in that camp. My son has already moved on to the next one. So he's expecting Joy Rider any day now, so that he's already asking me what's the next one we're doing, which is a great compliment, right? Because as much as the adults love it and want it, it's the kids, when they want more. Hey, well, that's the ultimate compliment.
Well, I won't share Jacob Hennigan's cell phone number with our audience, because I would hate for him, as much as I would love for him to get 1,000 text messages saying hurry up, I'll refrain so he stays in your good graces.
Well, he's so talented. Just unbelievably. And I've said this before. I think I may have said it with other. I've done a lot of kids' books. I've read a lot of kids' books. That's just a big thing of what I do at Mars Hill, and even in my own private practice. And I would put it in the art. I mean, I know we wrote the stuff, but I would put the art above anybody else's art that I've ever looked at. I mean, it's just, he's incredible from that standpoint. So I try not to rush him. I try to let him do his craft, but there are times where we're like, oh man, we're just so ready. Let's get this thing out. But I want it to be right. And he does it right. He does it
right. That is correct.
Hey, parents and young adventurers, are you ready to embark on an extraordinary journey? Introducing the Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Worry Coaster, a thrilling ride through the ups and downs of mental health in our new children's book. Join our dynamic duo as they navigate the twists and turns of their emotions while discovering the courage to conquer their worries. Pre-order your ticket to adventure now at benandtravis.com/books and be among the first to embark on this roller coaster of resilience. Let's turn worry into wonder and empower kids to embrace their feelings with bravery and hope. Buckle up. It's going to be an unforgettable ride.
Well, the question of the day is going to be the special discount code, $5 off your pre-order of The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Joyrider. Discount code CPMonth25 will get you $5 off that pre-order. And the question of the day is going to be, what is a Bradley Dupree story? Right? What do you got, Ben? I know we've shared the one where he's almost run over me a couple of times. Maybe I've shared this one. I'll give you a minute to think. But I remember going to Brooks High School for a middle school or JV football game that I was playing in, right, for Central High School. Bradley went to Brooks, and you think, Bradley will cheer for Central because I'm on that team. That is not the way that went down. He was cheering for Brooks all the way. And I was actually playing defensive line. I know that's shocking. And I was actually getting penetration, and the other coach told their guys to just fall on me. And so they fall on me, and there's no getting up because I was so much smaller than everyone else. And I remember just getting up and seeing Bradley over there laughing because he saw the whole thing. And then when Mom came to get me, we lost track of Bradley, and he's out in the parking lot ramping the parking slabs in his wheelchair. So that's the Bradley Dupree story that I'm sharing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember him laughing on them laying on you. That's hilarious. I'd forgotten about that, but that's great. Man, there's a bunch of good ones, I'm sure, but I think for him, as far as life is concerned, there was one that came to mind, and then when you told that story, it absolutely derailed me. So I'm trying to think of what it was. Oh, I know what it was. Similar to that, he never ceases to laugh at people who get hurt when you're watching football. Yes. Or if something like that happens. I mean, if another team is playing Alabama and somebody gets hurt, he just starts laughing. And It's like you can't really get on to him. Like, what do you say? Like, because most of the time he could probably go, I've been hurt worse than that. So whatever. So he just sits and kind of laughs, and then he'll laugh at Danny or somebody else when the cheerleaders come on the screen. So as soon as the cheerleaders pop up, I mean, he doesn't even give them time to look away from the screen. He just starts pointing at Danny and laughs at him. Like, you were looking at the cheerleaders, and you were. So.
And Will, it may not be a Bradley Dupree story, but you could share one if you got a funny one.
No, I mean, I think I think I was the one you were talking about earlier that I was visiting Granny.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It was you.
Bradley turned the corner, and they just start screaming, "War Eagle, go Vols!" And he was livid. And I mean, if that wheelchair could go any faster, it would have gone any faster, and it would have drilled those old men, because they were just giving it to. And as soon as they heard it, all the nurses came running around the corner. Quit yelling at Bradley! Stop yelling! It was just like it got the nursing home going. They were kind of excited about it. But I remember the first time that I went to visit Granny when she got put in the nursing home there. I walked in, and I said, Bradley. I said, do you even know who I am? And he just kind of looked. And I said, I'm Travis Creasy's friend, Roll Tide. And when I said that, he let out the biggest just scream, laugh. And from then on, we were good.
The magic words for Bradley is not thank you. It's not any of that. It's Roll Tide if you want to get good.
We never had. He had time for me every time I walked in from then on in. So it was good.
Well, I appreciate you guys sharing the stories. Obviously, we're thankful for all those who are tremendous examples of going through whatever it is, right? Whether it's cerebral palsy or whatever it may be. We know that everybody's got something in their life that could be better, and we certainly appreciate your great attitudes, your joy in spite of that. Ben, I think oftentimes talks about, if there was no struggle, if there was no obstacle, it's not nearly as interesting a story. And I think that that's certainly a biblical thing. We read the Bible to see how people overcome, and joy is one of those. Paul tells us in Philippians over and over again, rejoice. And that guy's sitting in a jail cell for the cause of Christ. And over again, he tells us to rejoice. And so that's what we hope to do with this podcast, is bring some joy to your life, to let you know that we struggle, and we have issues and circumstances that we could be better. And when I need some uplifting, I just come in here and jump on this trampoline that's in the back of the screen that I just noticed I didn't move. So, but this room's got plenty of toys in it everywhere. So
I appreciate you guys and appreciate the joy y'all bring to my life. So it's been another good one.
End recording.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com, and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.